Hey there, Turdits! It's Charlie here from Couples Turdicy, and today we're diving into the Bourbon and Brews Festival at Frankie Martin's Gardens. But before we get into the bourbon-soaked mayhem, let me set the scene. Samantha's busy trying to organize her notes while our Royal Highness, Pharaoh the cat, does his best to sabotage any attention I get. Seriously, this cat is like a fuzzy little stalker. The moment I try to talk to my girlfriend, there he is, staring her down with those, "Pay attention to me, or I'll destroy everything you love" eyes. If only I had that level of persistence when I was courting Samantha. Who knows? Maybe I'd be the one lounging in her lap instead of Pharaoh. Anyway, let's get this show on the road before he decides to swipe at the keyboard. So, Bourbon and Brews Festival, June 15th, 2024, at Frankie Martin's Gardens in beautiful Cottleville, Missouri. Now, this place, Frankie Martin's Gardens, is basically heaven for anyone who dreams of mixing whiskey, beer, food trucks, and outdoor activities like pickleball. Yeah, you heard that right. Pickleball courts. Because nothing says "I'm fancy" like sipping bourbon while old dudes in headbands awkwardly bat a wiffle ball back and forth. The gardens sit on a sprawling 2.74-acre plot, which sounds impressive, and well, it actually is. Most of that space is lovingly dedicated to a paradise of food trucks and an open-air beer pavilion where you can enjoy the experience of basking in the sun and getting a great tan while sipping your favorite brew. Who needs air conditioning when you can have sweat and sunshine, right? Oh, and did I mention the 26-foot LED wall? Yeah, it lights up the night like a Vegas billboard, because clearly nothing says bourbon connoisseur like getting an eyeful of glowing ads while squinting at whiskey labels. Classy, right? But here's the real showstopper. The preserved Frankie Martin House. A charming, intimate 770 square feet of bar space where you can truly bond with 300 of your closest, sweaty, bourbon-loving pals. Nothing builds camaraderie like trying to squeeze past someone without spilling your $50 whiskey flight. But hey, what's a little elbow rubbing between bourbon buddies? You'll be making friends faster than you can say neat pour. The place has over 230 whiskeys from around the world, which sounds impressive until you remember that most people can barely name 5 whiskeys without reverting to, Jack Daniels? But hey, if you're the kind of person who needs variety in your bourbon-induced poor life choices, this is the spot for you. Samantha and I spent most of our time in the beer pavilion because A, it was the only shady spot, and B, the food trucks were calling to us like sirens luring sailors to their doom. These weren't just your basic hot dog and burger joints either. Oh no, this was gourmet food truck fare. But I don't want to spoil the surprise because we'll be doing a full review of those delicious trucks later. I will say, though, that the taco truck and the seasoned corn on the cob were so good, I nearly proposed to one of the chefs right there. Who knows, maybe a food truck will earn our soon-to-be coveted 5 turd EC rating, patent pending. Stay tuned. Now, on to the Bourbon and Brews Festival itself. Let's just say, for a festival in only its second year, it's got the enthusiasm of a drunk uncle at a wedding, which is to say, loud, chaotic, and slightly inappropriate. First things first, parking. Or as I like to call it, the Great American Bourbon Trail, because that's how far you have to walk to get to this place. They had us parking at a school miles away and then bust us in. Yes, they bust us in like we were heading to summer camp. What could possibly go wrong, right? Spoiler alert, everything. Samantha and I sprang for VIP tickets, which, thankfully, meant we got to stand in a special line with other so-called VIPs. Nothing says exclusive like standing in the blazing sun for 30 minutes, waiting to get inside with 100 other people all wondering why we paid extra for this. But once we got in, we were handed the holy grail of VIP perks, a t-shirt, a tasting glass, and, wait for it, a ticket book. Yes, a ticket book. Because apparently they thought it would be fun to turn bourbon tasting into a bizarre scavenger hunt. Every time we wanted to try a different bourbon, we had to flip through this cursed ticket book to find the right ticket. I can only assume they were trying to simulate the experience of trying to do your taxes while drunk. But hey, we got in an hour early before the general admission crowd, and let me tell you, that was worth its weight in whiskey. For that golden hour, it was just us and a few other VIPs, sipping bourbon in relative peace, with no one elbowing us in the ribs or spilling their drink on our shoes. We sampled some seriously impressive bourbons, stuff so smooth it almost made us forget we were standing outside in what felt like the surface of the sun. And then, the gates opened. And when I say opened, I mean burst. It was like watching the hordes of Mordor storming the walls of Gondor. The people flooded in so fast, I half expected to hear a battle cry. In a matter of minutes, our peaceful bourbon haven became a claustrophobic nightmare. Elbows were flying, drinks were spilling, and the heat. Oh, the heat. Let's just say that by the time the crowd filled up the grounds, I was sweating in places I didn't even know could sweat. Samantha and I managed to escape the madness after we realized there was no way we were going to survive this festival without losing our sanity, or worse, our patience with that ticket book. The fun didn't stop there, though, because finding the bus back to the parking lot was like trying to navigate a maze. No signs, no clear pickup points. It was like they wanted us to stay and melt into puddles of bourbon-soaked despair. So, what's the official couple's turdicy rating for the Bourbon and Brews Festival? Drum roll, 3 turdicies out of 5. That's right, folks. 3. Why? Because while the bourbon was fantastic and the food trucks were otherworldly, the parking situation, the ticket book from hell, and the insane crowd control really soured the experience. If they could find a bigger venue and, for the love of all things whiskey, get rid of the ticket book, this festival could easily climb the ranks. Until then, I'll be scouting out other events to drag Samantha to, preferably somewhere far, far away from Pharaoh, who is currently eyeing me like I just stole his favorite toy. Maybe next time I'll leave the cat behind and finally get Samantha to myself. But who am I kidding? That little tyrant always wins.